Warframes, and welcome to today's Warframe video. First, just kind of wanted to start out and thank everyone that clicked and tuned into the video, even though it seems like it's something that's a little bit different, which it is. What I'm doing today, and hopefully more in the future, is like a little mini, hopefully short review of a weapon based on my perspective and how I use it and how I have it modded. I am on a bit of a time crunch though. I have a lot of weapons and some more Warframes to get through if I want this series to actually have some content to it. I'm leaving for the summer in about a week, and I'll be back on weekends, but I don't really know how much I want to record at that point, so a little iffy, so I'm just going to see how much I can get out now, and hopefully it will be good. So the weapon that I'm going to be showcasing, or I guess reviewing, is the Tonkor, the primary grenade launcher. So just base, without any mods or anything, these are the Tonkor stats on the bottom right here. Has a decently high crit chance and pretty high crit damage. Fire rate's is okay. Only has a two like projectile magazine though, so watch out for that. It's alarming, obviously, because it's a grenade launcher, so you'll aggro enemies pretty easily. Reload speed for only having 2 projectiles I think is kind of long, but I guess you could mod that out if you wanted to. I'll be showing it anyway. Status chance is kind of low, so I don't really know if I'd build this for status necessarily, even though it does have blast built into it, but you can do whatever you want to. And again, 75 puncture damage and 325 blast base, so pretty decent there. And before we go into any missions, I just wanted to show this is how I have it modded. It has no base polarities, so I wasn't able to play with it a ton, plus I leveled up split chamber a lot, so that kind of took away some of my potential customization, so that's partially my fault, but it's whatever. So yeah, split chamber for multi-shot, speed trigger for fire rate, and serration for more damage. So that's just what I have for now. Depending on how much I like it, I may end up putting a forma in it to give it a polarity, or maybe use an Aroken catalyst, I think it's called. I can actually just check, so I can just play with it more. Wrong button. But yeah, so no polarities or anything. It is, yes, the catalyst. I'm not going to use the one I have though, because I want to use it for something else. But so yeah, no base polarities, and these are the mods that I have in it. Pretty convenient that I got into this mission because I can also get some Nitane extract. Thank you, alerts. So I'm basically just going to talk about my likes and dislikes with the weapon as I kind of play with it and use it, and you get to see how it works. So again, it's a grenade launcher, so it explodes when I fire stuff at it, which is real nice. So, in all seriousness though, my first like with it is that it does like significant amounts of damage, even without it being modded very much. I first used it without anything, and it did real well, so that was nice. Another good thing about it that I like is it explodes on contact with enemies. So you can do instant damage with it as long as you hit something with it, which is pretty cool. If you don't kill an enemy with it, it'll more than likely knock them down. So you have another opportunity to, I don't know, shoot at it again or go in with a melee attack and kill it that way if you want to. It'll have some utility there. And the AoE of the weapon is pretty good. So if you shoot it into a group, which is what you're probably supposed to do with it, because again, it's a grenade launcher. You shoot into a group, you have a pretty good chance of killing pretty much everything in the group if you can hit. So that's pretty good. Those are the main things I like about it. So, of course, there are things I dislike about it. First of which, because it's a projectile weapon with only 2 shots. Well, actually, let's start with the fact it's a projectile weapon. That makes it a little bit more difficult to aim. So you have to get used to how the grenades actually fly before you can be really good with it. Of course, I'm still not really at that point yet, as you have seen multiple times. And the projectiles explode on contact with enemies, which is really nice, but they don't explode on contact with like other surfaces, like walls or the floor. So if you miss with it and you hit the walls or the floor, it'll bounce instead of like sticking or anything. So that's a potential loss in damage, and especially because it only has 2 shots at a time, that can be kind of detrimental because you have to wait for it to reload every 2 shots. And if you miss one of those, and again, that's just a major loss in damage. Like I missed 2 of those. The thing is though, it will explode eventually, So I don't know if you guys just saw those damage numbers, but I managed to kill a group of enemies just because the projectile bounced into all of them, which is lucky for me. But I've had times where it's like curved past a bunch of enemies and I've just missed out on tons of damage, especially in an AoE. It's just ridiculous, and it's really annoying. And something that kind of deterred me away from using the weapon was that it doesn't have any innate polarities built into it. It's absolutely 0. So if you mod it, you kind of have to be careful if you want some variety. I wasn't really careful because I wanted because I wanted multi-shot on it, so I could do more damage, especially because it only has two projectiles. So I just buffed up multi-shot, which is, didn't really leave me a ton because it used up half of my mod capacity just immediately. But yeah, no innate polarity. So I think if you really want to play with it, you either have to cut back on your mod capacity usage just when you first get it, or you could just go ham and put formas and Orokin catalysts on it, so you can do whatever you want to. Either way is fine, I guess. But because I don't think I'm going to put any catalysts or forma into making this weapon really good. I think it's just this is just how it is. So I don't have a ton of variety right now, which is kind of disappointing. But again, that's mostly my fault. And the last thing, maybe not necessarily a dislike of the weapon necessarily, but just kind of a way that all the weapons like this work, is they will do self-damage if you get too close to the explosion. And because I have terrible aim, I tend to get closer to the enemies, so it's easier for me to hit them, which is not good. So I end up taking a lot of self-damage, which can be detrimental in a mission that's decently high level, kind of like this one. So try and stay a decent distance away from the enemies, so you don't get hit by the explosion. I've heard that the Tonkor has decently low self-damage compared to other grenade launchers and rocket launchers. So you're safe, I guess, if you get hit enough with the explosions, but just don't make it a habit. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Don't make it a habit. If you switch to another weapon that is less forgiving than this one, you could just end up blowing yourself up and then wasting a revive because of something stupid like that. So I'll recap my likes and dislikes of the weapon before I end this. So likes, really good damage in a pretty decent AoE, so good at clearing multiple enemies at once. It explodes on contact with enemies, so if you hit them, you can do instant damage. And anything you don't kill will probably more than likely get knocked down just due to the blast damage and the procs. My general dislikes is it's a projectile weapon, so it can be kind of difficult to aim if you're not used to the projectile. And if you don't hit the enemy, the projectiles do not explode on contact. So you have to wait for them to explode, and if you miss, that can be a huge loss in damage. That's kind of a small clip, and it has a 2-second reload time, so take that as you will if you want to kind of deal with that. You can buff those things with mods, but that's taking capacity away, so I don't know. It has no innate polarities, speaking of capacity, so you have to either mod carefully or put forma and catalysts on it to really get a lot of use out of it, I guess. At least in my opinion. I think I kind of modded it wrong, honestly, but I don't know, that's just how it is. And because of the nature of the weapon, it's a grenade launcher, weapons like that will deal damage to you if you get too close to the explosion. Although the Tonkor, I've heard, is more forgiving than other weapons, so it probably is less likely to kill you if you have enough HP and shields, but I don't know. Let's take that as you will. So I'm not going to be scoring the weapons or at any capacity or anything like that. I just wanted to show it. So if someone that was unsure about building it saw this video and was like, oh, okay, that's how that works, then I'm happy, then my job is done. So I recommend this to people that are a fan of like big explosions and big AoEs and don't mind the constant need to reload and the no polarities, whatever. If you don't mind any of that stuff and you like the theme of a grenade launcher, I think the Tonkor is a pretty good one to build. So yeah, I'll be making more of these in the future. If you have any recommendations, if you want to see something but are unsure about building it, then leave a comment and I'll see if I can get around to doing that. I do have some things in backlog that I want to cover first before I take any recommendations, but I still will keep those in mind if you choose to give any. So thank you for watching. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. This is my first time doing a video like this. It's kind of in a little bit more detail than I'm used to, and as most of you know, I'm terrible at explaining things, so sorry if I messed some stuff up. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.